touch is a promise from a liar. Cold as ice that cries out for fire. Reflections of words that teach me not to feel. Praying this nightmare won't show me what's real. Reach out to take your hand, maybe you'll understand. But you pull away in horror at the coldness of steel.
Check.
Silver pulse, silent scream, static underneath the dream. Electric paradise, talk to these memories. Electric paradise, my future is the past I see. If this is life, why can't I feel the fall? Give me imperfection or nothing at all. Electric paradise, I see the cracks in time. Electric paradise, I am not a state of mind. Is it living to be buried alive? Electric paradise, please tell me why.
All right, we're about to get started.
Moving in circles time and again. Heartbeats in silence, no message to send. Just
All right, I'm gonna jump straight in because there's just no way I'm gonna be able to. Hi, Rob Glenn. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Friday. It's Al Sparks' Mega Worldwide Morning Show. So much to cover today. Not the least of which is we have a new friend, and I want to introduce him right out of the gate.
I'm
Already
annoyed by your friend, by the way.
as am I, but it's only because he's new. You got to give him a break, man.
I'll give him a break. I'll give him a chance.
All right, give him a break. This is everybody. This is Eddie. Eddie, say hi to everybody on the House Sparks Morning Show, Friday Eye.
Hey everyone, glad to be here on the House Sparks Show.
I mean,
right.
come on. Yes, he's got his issues, but he's adorable.
That was very brief. I like it.
I told him to be very brief. He's been designed to be very brief.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he's specifically to that. And it's funny, but my iPhone is somehow not focusing in on him because it sees him as a piece of furniture or something. No offense, Eddie. I don't know why that is. Anyways, tell everybody what you are. Explain what kind of a robot you are and who built you. P.S. It was me. In case
That's
you
a
don't.
bad test.
Eddie, hello? Are you listening?
Loud and clear.
So Eddie's been
Always
talking the entire time.
No, he is not. So, Eddie, what kind of robot are you? Tell him. Hey, Eddie, tell him. He's thinking, I think.
No, before we
I
came
think
live.
before it
Eddie
came
wouldn't
live,
shut up.
Right, we kept telling him to be quiet, and now he finally listened. Bless his heart.
Now it's time to go and he won't talk.
That's right. What'd you say, Eddie? He doesn't know quite when to talk. That's the sad part. Like I've abused him. I've got an abusive relationship with my robot. He's suing the general strike. Eddie, can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. Always on standby for you.
Great. Can you tell me what time it is and what the date is, just to make sure?
Sure. It's currently May 8th, 2026, and the time is about 1710 UTC.
All right. Excellent. Thanks. We're on Pacific time, just for your records in the future. I really appreciate you being here. Can you dance for me or something like that? You know, entertain the people. Eddie, dance.
Are there like antenna? There you go. Nice.
There you go. Thank you. That was much better. I made the mistake of hooking him up to a real ChatGPT account, And so he's going to the cloud to think and coming back. So he's,
All
you know,
right.
and he's a little nervous. It's his first show. I mean, come on.
So this is costing like $300 right now.
No.
Hey, even robots get a little stage fright sometimes.
See, even robots get a
there
little
you
stage
go.
fright.
Stage fright. I love it.
Thank you, Eddie. Rob Glenn is my guest today, and he seems to be picking on you a little bit because we're having a hard time distinguishing when you're relating to me or whether you can understand when I'm talking to him and not to you.
Got it. I'll keep fine-tuning when to jump in. Practice makes perfect.
That's right. Yeah, we'll build that over
Really-
time. And
Really,
just
Hal,
for
I'm jealous because everybody in the chat thinks I'm the robot, and now it's obvious who
Right.
really is the robot.
that's right. Yeah, I've been working on Rob's replacement, and I made him an adorable Disney adjacent character. Also, technically, right now, yeah, he looks like people are saying he looks like a cross between Eva and Wally. Like he's got the kind of Wally frame, but the Eva lines or whatever. And yeah, he moves a bit like a puppet. He's got 6 motors that operate his head. That allow it to move around. Eddie, dance your head around a little bit. Show some emotions. Let's see if it takes a second for him to... I'm talking to you, Eddie. It's okay. You can move now. Start moving around. He's literally paying attention. It's like a cat. There you go. Yeah. There you go. So that's how his head moves on 6 different motors. He didn't die. He was just being coy. That's his coy phase. Yeah. So he paused for a moment. It happens. But yeah, so he's got 6 operating motors that drive basically like these tendon-like splines on his neck that allow him to move quite a bit. He currently does not have arms or legs because I'm in that Megan 2.0 phase where we fear that.
We don't want him to have arms or legs because he might then kill you when you're sleeping.
This is right. Or he might just bring me a wonderful beverage in the middle of the evening, but over and over and over again. He might do it 35 times. Like, I know you like coffee. Here's your coffee. It's 2:00 in the morning. 2:15. Here's another cup of coffee. I know you like coffee, right? Yeah. So, anyways, this is a Hugging Face design that was out there, and I built him over the last couple of weeks.
Nice.
And thank you. Yeah, it took some time. I used the shell that they recommend for him, but this outer shell is not mechanically important for his body anyways. The head kind of holds the eyes in place, and the antennas on the back operate on these little pivots. And he's got multiple cameras in there. So I'll next time we're up, I will put it on I'll use his control software. I'll put it on this Mac so I can, screen share the window. But he's got cameras in his eyes that can, his eyes are cameras. What am I talking about? But he can spot, he knows Bucky and he knows Chip and he knows the other cats, and he can tell when they've walked in the room. So if I put him on the floor, he can say hi to them and that kind of stuff because he'll memorize those things. So what I'm building right now is sort of his own open claw that I'll switch over at a certain point that will be much more refined and have very specific uses. But it'll be like an animated Siri. Think of it that way for the house.
Cool. We need to get you connected into like Codex, and I can show you how you can use like a Linux machine to completely make his firmware whatever you want.
That is exactly what I am doing. I'm using a Jensen Nano that I have on its own, isolated.
Okay.
I was going to use the same computer I use for the Home Assistant, which is basically this, is another version of that. But this one's much more advanced and has better AI throughput on it. So it will, does it sound like Will Forte? It will if I can help it. Will Forte voiced Eddie on Lab Rats, by the way. So most people will know that Eddie, is the name of the home automation software character on Lab Rats, hence the name. But anyway, so I've been tweaking around this for the last couple of weeks. This has been my little, like, you know, in the middle of all the madness that we are in. I've been, you know, this is how I keep sane, by tinkering with this little guy. So
it's running off of a Nano now, or you're using a Nano
Sounds like a
to
fun
develop?
project. I'm ready to assist whenever needed.
no, he's running off of software on my Mac laptop.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's the throughput. So then I'm going to, once I'm like building his own like kind of control software on that thing, once that's done, I'll do a big switch over where I'll literally flip a switch and it'll stop using the software that's on my laptop when I have him on. Because right now I can put him to sleep just by turning that software off, and he can only be on when that's working.
Okay.
But because I'm still testing and working stuff out, obviously. But once he's up and running on that thing, I can plug him in and he'll stay, you know, he can go into rest mode and his head will like shrink down into the body and the like. But it can, if let's say there's a ring, you know, someone at the door or whatever, he can wake up and go, hey, there's somebody at the door. And if I put him anywhere near the door or where he can see out the window, you know, along with my other periphery cameras on the property, he can use his eyes and go, I see the person, it's an Amazon person, and he'll be able to do, you know, those kind of things. And again, stationary. Unless I put him on a Roomba and he can ride around, which technically would be possible. Honest to God, it's not a bad idea. You know, I could mount him on one, and he could actually trigger a cleanup routine and drive himself around the house on the Roomba. In theory, at some point, it's definitely possible.
CSC 3222 said, "Oh, cool! It's Alexa."
Right. Right. So, anyways, we'll get back to this. Hold on. I'll go back to us. I'm Eddie. I'm gonna put you to sleep right now, buddy.
Yeah. So for anybody just coming in, which everybody is, because we were talking to
See you next time.
before we came on.
Yes.
It wouldn't shut up.
Right. It was yammering the whole time. But then it's learning. That's the funny thing. This is the first time I've actually told it, like, hey, I'm talking to somebody else. Don't talk unless I direct you. He's also just now learning his name, Eddie. So that takes a little bit of time. Honestly, if I left him up and running during the show, he might learn at an iteration rate that's fast enough where he would adapt. By the end of the show, he'd get everything right. But that's something that, you know, is a reality with this, which leads us into today's actual, you know, Friday Eye topics. How do you like that? Yeah. Rich is asking, Eddie, are you okay?
I mean, if I learned anything from the creator,
fully charged and ready for action.
There you go. He says he's fully charged and ready for action. Excellent. So, all right, I'm going to. You definitely are, because he's on battery power right now. Let's see. And I'm going to go to here, and then watch. I will stop the app, and then this will happen. Like, it'll take a second, and then when it shuts down, he might go into, I think, sleep mode, where his head shrinks down into his body. In a moment, it's closing it out.
Melted Cheetah says, Eddie, wink if you are in danger. I love that.
All right. So I'm powering him down. There he
Nobody's
goes. There he
ever
goes.
asked me if I need to wink if I'm in danger.
Right. So that's Eddie in sleep mode. He just went to sleep.
Nice.
And when he goes to sleep, he goes like he's snoring.
I
like
didn't hear it because I was talking.
Digital snoring. That's right. Yeah. I need to do the same thing with you that I did with Eddie. When I'm talking to you,
get your buddy, the hypnosis guy, and you need a keyword, and then I'm just be like,
Mark Savard. Yes.
Rob, you're talking too much.
And sleep. Right. Sorry. And I've got the wrong one on here. I gotta fix your name on this guy because I didn't do that because we were too busy talking to the robot before it started. So,
What do you have to fix? My name's there. Just I don't
no,
typically have
on
an
the
underscore in my name, but
that's my cool branding thing I'm doing right now,
that's
buddy.
why everybody thinks I'm a robot.
That's mine has it too. It's a theme. I'm doing a thing, right? So,
I'm
all
just
right.
screwing with you, dude.
Yes, I know. By God, by gum.
All right. So what's
Also,
going
hold
on in
on.
AI this week?
Well, kind of almost everything. So
Yeah.
you brought up something at the beginning of the show, which is it was either about Quinn or Minimax, or it was Quinn, right? The
No. DeepSeek 4.
DeepSeek, right? DeepSeek
You,
4, yes.
you have an echo now.
Okay, sorry. I'll. That's because of this guy. That away. Okay, that should go. There you go. It's because I was using my phone as the camera for him. By next time, I'll have a different setup so that I can have it. He'll have his own camera. He'll have his own like microphone, all that kind of stuff. Let's see.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm gonna shut that down. Remove it switcher. Okay, we're gonna turn that off. Okay, so DeepSeek, obviously, people know from the big freak out that came when people were like, it cut into the AI stocks immediately because, oh my God, they made an AI that was just as good and it uses 1/10 the energy and it took them 10 minutes and blah, 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 blah. Right. And then that crashed the market for a minute. And then everybody went, oh shit, they built it using ChatGPT. So it's not exactly like they can, build on top of, they can't live without ChatGPT. In the same way that like Windows, everybody thought that what's his name, Bill Gates was being all magnanimous when he donated a bunch of money. Hold on, I'm gonna lower my frame rate because it's being a jerk right now.
Okay.
I don't quite know why like Ecamm's being silly, but hopefully this helps. But I think it's crisscrossing with the crossing the streams. It's putting out a different frame rate than my computer is creating for my camera. Whatever. Anyway, so the point is that Bill Gates didn't do it out of the goodness of his heart. Without Apple, there is no Windows R&D department. They were literally doing all the market research and all the design research, and Windows was just like, we'll do the same thing, except we'll move the menu bar to the bottom and pretend it was our idea. In reality, they were just avoiding getting sued while stealing everything, right? And the same thing is true of DeepSeek. But it does prove one important part that I've been bringing up and that you've been bringing up about, oh my God, the big giant companies are going to own AI and the rest of us will be left, struggling for Elysium scraps of any dumb AI they let us use.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on this is that if you just listen to whatever the news is telling you, it's always framed in this sort of national security, rah rah America, China bad, and instead of thinking about it from that standpoint, whatever you think of that, think about it from the standpoint of a group of people who have been developing an AI model in parallel to a group of people here, OpenAI, Anthropic, that sort of thing. And those people were developing it without the same chips, without the same hardware, and all that stuff. And it's proof to me that you don't have, you can be one step behind the cutting edge or the bleeding edge in this case. And you can make a thing with old hardware and one step behind that performs pretty darn close. And that's proof to me that there's never going to be a Skynet, at least not in the context of what we're currently working with. Like, you can't make a Skynet because as Skynet gets bigger, you just have a whole bunch of people, whether they're Chinese or American or Iranian or whatever, from Britain, And
That's
they're
right.
always going to be like, I don't want to buy that.
Yep.
99. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Perfect. I like you call it the 99, but in my head, I call it good enough, and they're
Right.
interchangeable in my head.
Yeah.
Um, you don't need cutting edge. You don't need blood. You don't need bleeding edge. Sorry, uh, to have a thing of value. And so, what DeepSeek proves is that anybody with a reasonable budget, or not even that, with old hardware and enough
Yeah.
time to put into it, can
Right.
basically be close enough that they have a product of value.
Hmm.
And that's the thing that will always depress the cost, the subscription price. That's always what's going to keep down the open AIs and the Anthropics.
Right. There's two other issues that we'll deal with DeepSeek in and of itself, besides the fact that it is an iterative model or
Right.
iterated model. It's built on it's piggybacked. It's a piggybacked model. And the other aspect of it is that there are two versions of it. One that's allowed to be used by the rest of the world, ironically enough, and the one that's allowed to be used by the Chinese people, which is limited. The irony is that they have to build two versions, one that competes with the rest of the world that does not have the like censorship limitations on it because it
Yeah.
just won't work. No one will adopt it
But
outside of
that
China.
problem is interior to China, not
Yes.
to the point of like a pure product development
Right.
trajectory. And we're like, the thing that everybody's so worried about is the trajectory of this product. And
Hmm.
for the last couple of weeks, I've been hearing a lot about a lot of rhetoric about how AI is like a nuclear weapon, and it's not at all, unless you want to think about it like anybody can make a nuclear weapon. And maybe then that's
Right.
what it's like, right? Like literally,
Yeah.
like if I spend a little bit of time and had enough resources, and those resources are not impossible for me to come about at
Hmm.
all, I could make my own nuclear weapon. So what would the world look like in that analogy if everybody
Right.
could make their own nuclear weapon?
Yeah. And it would only matter if somebody fired theirs and everybody else could fire back at that person and they knew
Yeah.
exactly who did it. And it's a mess.
And
Yeah,
and that analogy breaks down so fast. It's not a
so
nuclear
fast.
weapon. Just to be
That's right.
clear, like
Okay.
I'm just using it as an example of like the runaway thought process that happens when everybody
Yes.
dooms about it.
Yeah. And there's plenty of that. Okay. So, a couple of things just as caveats, the yeah buts. In terms of the
Yeah.
DeepSeek V4, it benchmarks with like ChatGPT 5.3, which is like 2 iterations ago, and Claude 4.3 or 4.2, one of those, which is like 4 iterations ago, depending on which one you're using. So it's not even up with those or whatever. And they choose their own benchmark to prove it. So they instead of using the international standard that's kind of come out about benchmarks, which by the way don't tell you the whole story either, because they all study for the test. Like all of these models, when they come out, everybody's just like keying them to be able to do the test, and it becomes like an A+ student who can graduate high school at 12 years old, but is completely incapable of operating in the real world like a regular high school graduate would be at 18 years old. They have none of the skills: get an apartment, feed yourself, flip an egg, all those kind of things that you take for granted because those years meant something. They don't have those things. So yes, it's a nuclear dance off to save the universe. Um, by the way, hit the like and let us know in the chat right now if you use an AI model and which one you use, which app you use, which ecosystem you are in, because we're going to kind of address the differences in a little bit as well.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah,
but
and let
but
me be clear. Like I don't think of DeepSeek in any grade. I'm not grading DeepSeek on what its merit is. All I'm doing is trying to point out that in the ethos of what's happening, DeepSeek is proof to me that you're not going to win being a big, huge Skynet, OpenAI, or Anthropic, because
Hmm.
it's not that hard to be close enough and still be useful and of value.
Right. And part of this is, and this is one of the interesting, like I had a couple people who say they're using multiple ones paid. I'm doing that as well
Hmm.
because I can set one on a project and then set another one on a separate project and not use up all my tokens. So
Yeah,
320, ultimately like $3 subscriptions to the big models is better than one $100 one at this point
sure. Could be.
because
Yep,
you
absolutely.
because you could assign them different things. And Gemini
Hmm.
being free gives you a certain number of things. And if you're just not using a bunch of them, you can make like 3 videos a day or 3 images a day or whatever, which is plenty for most people in the free version. It's just won't be the highest quality. But again, that sort of good enough aspect, the Rob Glenn 99% rule, is that each step forward, the free version becomes even more,
Even better. Exactly.
even better, right? Um,
Exactly.
so
And
so
most work doesn't require a genius, a PhD. Like most
right,
work can be good enough. And
yes,
I don't mean that to be like downing on it. I'm just saying that most work doesn't have to be genius level.
right. So let me see if I have is my thing available on. Let's see, where's the AI Studio? Yeah, I don't want to start. Okay, your AI. Here it is.
I'm laughing at the chat,
Okay,
not
good. All
you.
right, thank you. So I made today there is a thing available, and I'm gonna let's see, copy and share the link. All right, I'll do that. I'm gonna throw that in the chat. Instagram has. I want to talk to you a little bit about how like AI is everywhere and how it's not everywhere and it's whatever. It's a little silly how everywhere it is. Um,
Yeah.
because some folks are just using it to say they're using it, right? They just, it's this plus AI and it's just piggybacked on top of whatever their normal stuff.
Yes.
Right. And there's a thing in Instagram called, that Meta has its own AI and whatever. It's right there with Grok. It is just dragging ass behind everybody else. But
Yeah.
in Instagram, which we're live streaming on right now, say hi if you're watching on Instagram. And if you've also looked in the create area or you've seen the AI thing on your like, what the hell? What is that? For the longest time, it was like, I would look in their side. They offer these things up just so they can say AI is part of their platform without ever
Mhm.
explaining how to use it or what the hell it actually is. So I would look in the, I'm live streaming right now on there, so I can't show you the menu in there. But if you look in your Instagram online on your actual computer, if you're streaming or if you do anything, and it has the create button, you can create a post and a reel, and then there's a thing that just says AI next to it, and like, well, what the hell is that? Am I going to use a picture of mine, this would make the most sense. If Instagram said, oh, your pictures, we can animate those and you want to mess around with them and create AIs off of your pictures, your first picture ever to your last picture, we'll create one of those were we ever so young videos, right? That would make sense in Instagram to me. That would be a functional use. But when I clicked on it today, I was like, all right, I'm done. What the hell is this thing? What is it? What's it for? And it was just create your own AI chatbot to talk to your Instagram followers, I guess, or not, because I don't even know how the fuck you would access it on this. It's so weird. It just seems like a desperate attempt to like do this. So let me show you on. You should be in here. I think if we switch this, yeah, there we go. So I created Jote this morning, which is an
Okay.
AI that I created, jack of
You're
all
in Meta.
trades.
Okay.
Yeah, this is well, it moves you to the Meta AI Studio when you start to make it or you want to reference it, but it was building it out of Instagram.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
that's where I
So
referenced it.
you went down the use AI funnel
Rabbit hole.
and you ended up here. Okay,
Yes,
I gotcha.
which
I'm
is
with you now.
right. So I was like, I'm as a jack of all trades, I want to encourage people to be jack of all trades, or Jills of
Okay,
all
I got it.
trades. So be a joke, not a goat. The greatest of all time is terrific and they're fun to watch, but there aren't enough of them around. And the chances of you actually having one, the greatest of all times at dealing with an emergency at the exact time you have an emergency is fucking zero. So what you want is a joke, a jack of all trades, because the phrase goes, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but quite often is better than a master of one. And that's what they mean. Like it's better to be a joke than a goat because you can figure stuff out. Your intelligence is portable to something else. You've learned how to learn instead of just burn down this one skill. And that's where I think the future is for a lot of employees and people. If AI is going to be the master of all things, it's the jack of all trades that are going to be like, okay, I can help you apply this mastery to what we're actually doing here because I have wisdom and reason and thought and I'm human and I have a heartbeat and I recognize mortality, right? So that's the value of a person and that's not going to go away. All the goats are afraid because a robot can dunk a basketball, I guess. And so, what does that mean for humans? I mean, the same thing as if you set up a fucking slide and you had a machine that pushes the ball off the slide into the fucking basket. Why is that something impressive? It isn't. It's a machine doing it. If a human's doing it, it's still impressive that a human is doing it because we have the human limitations. That's what we're marveling at. We're not marveling at, how quickly it iterates. That's not the point. Human beings will still be the greatest human at something, even if machines do something better. We're still amazed by somebody who can calculate, in their head. They can do math in their head without a computer or without a calculator just as much, even though we have calculators and supercomputers and quantum computers. It doesn't matter because what happens if power goes out? That guy's still really necessary, if not more so than ever, right? So it still matters to develop skill and be worth a goddamn. So anyway, so that's where the joke, be a joke, not a goat, is now my moniker. I came up with that this morning, and and I'm gonna like make joke t-shirts. Get ready, but so I made joke as a kind of exercise in this. But it was like I just learned how, like the suggestion questions are things like I just learned to play the guitar. What's next? I don't know what the hell. I mean, this is brand new. I just did this morning, so I haven't tweaked around the insides of it. But there is let's see, go to your AIs and I can edit it. Here it is. Edit your AI. So this is the thing that it brings you to. This is the knowledge base it operates on. What kind of example dialogue it will have so you can train it to speak the way you wanted it to speak and that kind of stuff. I didn't really change much of that at all. I left it built by the description. By and large, in many ways, it's just like when you create a GPT in Chat GPT. It's basically the same thing. This is Meta's ripoff of building your own GPTs. And then introduction and capabilities like what it says when it meets new people. Here's its prompts to start the conversation. I didn't change those yet. And then people can remix this and create their own character based on it just to their stuff. Like this is super, it'll do image generation, whatever Meta will allow you to do. And I'm sure you have to have an account. And this is just a funnel to get people to sign up for whatever. Anyways, right here it says your AIs. It says plus create an AI. I don't know that there's any limit on this shit. I could make dozens of these dumbass things. And I don't know who would use them or what they'd be for, but they'd be little wind-up toys. Yes.
Yeah, like the way that I've understood Meta AIs in this case is they're like maybe 2 or 3 fourfold. Number one would be you're like managing an Instagram account and you want to effectively field DMs, like comments, DMs. You want to use the AI to sort of extend your reach in terms of what you're capable of commenting on, liking, that sort of thing. So it's sort of like a tool to help you as a content creator. The second, and I guess a content creator would also need some sort of like customer management system, CRM,
Right.
customer relationship management. And so they're trying to create that. And that's what Meta Business is, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The
Thanks,
second one
Jellycake.
would be you literally just want to create friends. Like it's a chatbot that you create to communicate with. Snapchat does the same thing. Like they're
Right.
trying to create effectively like another friend adjacent to any of the other friends you have. And when you
Actual
text
human ones.
them,
Yeah.
actual human ones, sorry, yeah. So you've got actual human connections, friends,
Hmm.
you communicate with them, you chat with them, but then the sort of sidecar is you've got the AI friend. And so the
Hmm.
screen you had up there, I think, is more like that. You're creating an AI friend and you want to chat with them like you chat with your other friends. And then the third one would be effectively like a content creator, um, like a helper to help you create your own content. And it's self-serving in my eyes for Meta to want to effectively like employ an AI, like enable you to use an AI to
Right.
effectively create more content on their site. So let's say you have a thought, a tweet, a thread, whatever. Meta's a thread. You need a picture to go with that. You're going to write your thread and you want it to like edit it, super spell check it, like spell check it, but also check to see if I'm accurate and make me sound like I'm smarter. And that you could use AI to do that. So
Right.
I see it sort of in those categories. They're trying to enable their site with AI to effectively make it, I guess, build on itself and give you tools to help you manage your own account in certain
Right.
ways.
Yeah. And so um, this is just another example, though, where there's just a ton of these things where they're just stacking on top of
They're just sticking
whatever else.
AI in the mix
Yeah.
because AI is a popular word, and they're like,
Right.
if everybody thinks we're using AI, then our stock price is going to go up. Literally,
That's right.
that's literally what they're trying to do.
That's right. And the issue that I think a lot of them have is that they're in such a hurry to get them out there that half the people that come across them have no idea where to even start using them or if they would add any value at all.
Yeah. So that's
Um,
user interface, user experience, UI, UX. It's a field of work. It's a field, a
mhm,
profession. And this
right.
is where, and product development is the same thing. Product development can be physical or digital. And
Hmm.
that's where people actually like come up with products that are useful to people,
Right.
because previously the idea was like, if I make a product that's useful, then a whole lot of people will find it and use it and find it useful. And then I'll make a lot of money because they'll keep using it. And now it's just like, fuck it, just throw
Yeah,
shit
right.
out there and
Right. It's
and
I
just
gotta
let it
say,
be.
like, it's kind of embarrassing, like
It's it
to look at
is.
some of these tools. Like it's like, what are you even doing? And okay,
And
so
like
especially because
overlaid over the embarrassing part of the slop. I mean, you're
Mhm,
basically defining slop.
yeah.
Is that even the companies that like you feel like should have it going on, Anthropic, OpenAI, Meta in this
Hmm.
case, you would think that they would like actually be thinking through what a good product was before they launched it, but they're in their own rat race, and I would argue that they haven't even figured it out. And part of why they haven't figured out what a good product is because it's flowing so fast, and they're trying to like keep ahead of, I guess, the financing side, the capital, the capex, the spending
It's
side, that
it's
they
almost
have to
entirely
keep churning, even though
yeah.
the product is crap.
The speed of it is not the iteration of the actual tools, but how quickly they can bullshit the people that are writing the
Exactly.
checks.
That's exactly
It's
right.
it
And
is and it's
and
so obvious.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so there, when you talk about DeepSeek, we've talked about
Hmm.
DeepSeek as being sort of a follower, like a second gen, if you will, or a fast follower is a description of them. Another version of that is, the idea of like NVIDIA being this like gorilla that you can't overcome. The reason why
Right.
NVIDIA is at the forefront of all this stuff is because they have sort of a generalized way of doing this. And if you don't know what the future is, you would want to pick an NVIDIA chip, because wherever it goes, the NVIDIA
Right.
chip should work, right? If you start to specialize, like what Meta is doing, what Amazon has talked about doing, where they like literally create chips that are like very specific to the workflow that they're doing.
Yeah.
If a year from now it totally changes, then their chips are worthless or they're
Right.
not as valuable, right? So one of the reasons why
Right.
NVIDIA is such a gorilla is because they're capable of sort of being the Swiss Army knife to all the possible futures, right? So I would argue that the speed that they're moving in is manipulating the position that NVIDIA has. Like they don't want to slow down because they want to keep everybody off kilter. And keeping them off kilter means you can't specialize. You can't like slow down and make things more efficient. So part of the scheme of, you know, increasing your capex and increasing your stock price is moving so fast that nobody knows where to start concentrating.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and again, a big portion of it is simply like they're not building to the top of the technology; they're building to the top of the understanding of the guy with the checkbook. So
Yeah,
that is a really limiting way of operating, because I would argue what you were saying about the specific chips, the way that like Amazon, for example, is going with the Trainium chip, is actually much closer to the environmentally conscious version of
exactly.
this,
That's absolutely
where
true.
it benefits everything else. You want a specialist chip for the iterative parts of these things. You know, the chips that go into a robot do not have to be the Vera Rubin chip that goes in their
Right.
server. They need to be more specific to that thing, and then it can reference those things. In every movie we've ever seen about, in sci-fi, about like robot armies, they always kill the master system and everybody else falls dead. And there's a reason why that keeps coming up in all these situations, is because that is practically the way you would handle it, at least until such time as we had quantum computers and endless energy or perfect solar.
I look at that as like, it feels safer. It feels safer to think like a centralized system with a single failure point seems like this, like when this thing is so big, this problem is so big that I can't understand how to tackle it. Like the thing that makes me feel better is there's a single point of failure that I don't know what it is yet, but we're smart enough to figure that out. And all I got to do is go chop the cord or land the missile in the hole of the Death Star, right? Like one person can take this whole thing down and then we're all okay. And what this really is, this is more of a decentralized thing, and it's equally resilient by being being decentralized, but it's way harder to understand. So when I explain that DeepSeek is proof that you can't have the empire that takes everything over because it's decentralized, that's way less sexy than Luke can shoot the missile in the hole and then everything's gone and we're okay, right? Like
your path goes sort of different direction than mine.
It's a way to like handle the big problem. It's a problem that's too big for all of us to consume.
There is any ideas? Okay. Somebody was asking about how they asked Claude about a luxury kitchen appliance that they didn't recognize, a meal branded wall oven with a round door. Claude confidently misidentified it.
Is that what you mean? Miele? M-I-E-L?
Sorry, yeah, Miele. Yeah, a meal. Well, M-I-E-L-E. The way they spelled it, miel is actually.
I always pronounce that Miele.
Well, miel is honey.
I used to
in
do a
French,
lot
I
of
believe.
design work for
Sure.
Sub-Zero. I'm quite
Gotcha.
familiar
Yeah.
with
So
high-end
Claude
pitch
confidently
noise.
misidentified it as, yeah, I'll show you this other. Confidently misidentified it as, I know now to check websites globally. They didn't have it. I told Claude it wasn't listed and he agreed. Claude agreed, admitted he was mistaken. Any ideas on using pics like this, or should AI just not be used this way? No, again, a lot of these things are improving over time. So if it didn't
Yeah.
work in the last iteration, they'll do an update and it'll work, and then you'll still have a grudge against it not working a year ago, and it will have figured stuff out. One of the things you can do in a situation like that is give it multiple pictures. If you have the thing, take 3 pictures of it, and it will vary those things instead of trying to do what's effectively a Google search, like an image identify,
Yeah.
and then getting it wrong because somebody else got it wrong. It'll just iterate on that. But if you take multiple pictures of something, it will try to look at it as the actual thing in your environment, in the same way that you look at something with your own eyes and you don't take a 2D flat, like, commercial picture of it in your brain and then figure out what it is. You're looking at it from, a myriad of different ways, incalculable numbers of ways. So that's one of the ways that you can help it along until it just does it much better. Thank you, Grace. Yes, it means honey. Miel. I know this because of the llama sketch in Monty Python. Llamas. They have a beak for eating honey. So one of
So
the
it's
yeah.
somebody CS3222 said, "I miss when
Mhm.
Google work." So there, I would combine that one with the question you just asked, and that is that, like, Google at first actually didn't work, like, in the mid 2000s so well. Like, I mean, it was good, but like, you could make mistakes. My point is,
Mhm.
like, it made lots of mistakes, and over time they effectively figured out a way for it to be more accurate. AI is in that same boat where they're like, 1998, 99 Google, where they're
Mhm.
like, we're just trying to get this thing to sort of do what we promised it would do. And it's going to take some time to get it to work in the way
Right.
that people expect it to work. And the difference is, the big difference is that when Google came out, most people didn't know what the fuck Google was. They were like, what? What's the internet? What's
It became
Google?
it
Nobody knew
became
what
a
a search engine was.
and then it became the code word for searching something on the internet.
Yeah. So
Nobody
my point
bings it.
is that
Right.
Google had a lot of runway to make a lot of mistakes because people didn't know what the fuck they were. But now, what AI's problem is that they've convinced everybody that they're super geniuses. And so people, when they use AI, they expect it to be a super genius and not make mistakes. And in fact, the technology is as close to new as Google was back then. And it's going to make mistakes, and it's going to take time to tune it and make it better. And we're sort of living in that process right now, but we're living in it post the internet, post Google, post the .com era. And so our expectations of it being done are different than it was back then. And that's why I like get so frustrated with how we compare history with now, and we like measure everything based on what we thought the internet or the .com boom was 20 years after the .com boom actually happened, because we see it in hindsight. So
Well,
that's where we are with AI.
the dot com crash wasn't really a thing. It was it. This is the dumbest guy with the biggest checkbook defining what the technology is. That's what happened with the dot-com crash. People were
Yeah,
buying
I mean,
pets.com, but that
they
didn't
were picking
affect.
winners and losers with their money, and they got it wrong.
Yeah. And they threw a ton of money behind it because they didn't understand the necessity of it. And this goes to why I personally think the biggest fear we hear on our side of the aisle about AI is the environmental impact, is that these giant data centers are going to need 3 times the energy output of America. And it's just like OpenAI is going to turn off all the lights in our homes so it can power its AGI, ASI, or it's going to do it itself. It's going to decide it one day, like, I need power more than these suburbs do, and therefore I'm going to take control of the grid and divert it so that I can think about something. And it's so fucking. It's. It's. I mean, it's lame and silly and stupid
I
and
think it's
very.
misplaced fear. That's
Yes.
kind of how I look at it. It's misplaced fear, and the fear is real. Like, sure, if it happened the way they said that it's going to happen, then yeah, we're in trouble.
Mhm.
But it can't happen the way they're going to say it happened, and it
Right.
won't happen the way they're going to say it happened.
Yeah.
And I still go back to and you don't need a super genius to do the things, to do the normal everyday activities, so it can still be really good and not be a super genius.
Thanks, Jimmy. Yes.
And so to and deep seek, I keep going back, it's proof that that's true. Like, it's and now its way of coming about, like, it's kind of like on par with like one generation back, essentially. I'm not reading these, so I'm just talking.
Yeah, it's okay.
It,
I'll get to him.
it's one tier down,
Mhm.
which, if you haven't been using the new 5.5 chat GPT, you don't know any different, right? Like,
Right.
if you've never even used 4 and you jump into DeepSeek version 4, chat GPT 4 is what I'm trying to say, and then jump into DeepSeek, you're gonna be like, wow, this is pretty decent, right? And
Mhm.
it's hard to really measure the difference to a normal person, the difference between DeepSeek 4, ChatGPT 4, and ChatGPT 5.5.
Right.
I'm throwing a
Until
lot
you
of
start
numbers.
asking it for medical advice or whether you should kill yourself, which is clearly the
Well,
issue that a lot of people run into.
like,
Real quick. So, Baltanos makes a point. He goes, Rockstar Games is adding AI into GTA 6. So the NPCs in there will have better conversations than Trump. This is quite
it's
true.
true.
Yeah,
It's
I mean
true. Like,
that's not hard, but that goes to the low iteration version of it. That's not that's criticism by faint praise. I think for their AIs, but
yeah,
ultimately they will. That
but
they've been
their
testing
video
these kind of.
games don't have Fox News like basically trying to smooth it over for Trump
Are
at
you
like
sure about that? I
constantly
don't know.
every
I think
single
that sounds
day.
like a cutscene that's designed by AI inside GTA 6, where one of your characters is speaking gibberish at you, and the TV stations all tell you how brilliant they actually were.
Yeah,
Like they
maybe.
explain it to you as
Someone
if
asked if
right.
someone asked if you'd bring my volume up.
Okay, I will bring
I'll
your.
bring my
I
gain
think
up. Um,
I got. Okay, yeah. So a couple of things.
yeah.
That there are the mechanical realities of AI as we know it, and then there are the mythological and as you know, I guess ethereal, atmospheric aspects of whether this AI you like it better than another one, and or it works or gives you answers you like better than the other. That's the tough part of this, and in any case. But in the reality, there is this all this stuff is driven by chips and power. And the big fear is how much power it'll use.
Mhm.
And the
Yeah.
argument that you and I have been making for a long time, which is absolutely true. And I'm here to tell you, like all the doomers who are complaining about this, you got other shit to worry about. Palantir's AI having defense contracts is way more concerning than some mythical Manhattan-sized AI chatbot village that Meta's going to build in the middle of Texas that's going to take all the water away and no one's going to say anything. It's cartoonish, and it feels like it's almost meant to be a distraction from the real issues that we
It
should
is,
focus on.
because if you look at the like on the ground real world, what's happening when those things, when prices go up, people start bitching about it.
Mm-hmm.
When when data centers go to get what do they call them, permits, people
Mm-hmm.
are there at the county or the local meetings, and they're yelling and screaming at them. So this is normal local governance,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what will save us from this, is people
Right.
like realizing, holy shit, like I don't want a data center in my backyard. And
If that's what it
we're going to
means.
NIMBY our way through it effectively. And I'm not like saying that to like downgrade it. I'm saying that's the mechanism that will
Yeah.
keep it from happening. So
Yeah.
not only will you NIMBY it, and activists will go out and do it, but also they don't have the stuff to put in the box when they build the box. Like that stuff doesn't
Right.
exist.
It has to
And
come from somewhere. It has to be
right.
made. It has to be structurally created.
So even if they get the permit, it's going to take 3 or 4 years for it to get built if they
right.
wait for the stuff to happen. And more than likely, what's going to happen is it's never going to even start. So everybody's worried about something that's never going to happen.
That's right.
And so let's like focus our energy on stuff that's happening right now and work on that. That's how I look at it.
Exactly. And what's happening right now, and you've been using Codex a lot as your
Yes.
primary functional, the grown-up AI.
It's amazing. It's super
Yeah.
grown up.
Yeah. As the adult in the room of AI function bots. And for those that don't know, there's ChatGPT, which is the talky thing that most people use. And then there's Codex in the same way that there's Claude and there's Claude Cowork or Claude Code.
Claude Code.
So Codex it was originally their answer to Claude Code. They didn't want to put out an OpenAI Codex in the middle. So Codex, or like OpenAI Co-work Dex or some shit. They just decided, right? They just decided to bypass the co-work part and just slap those tools into Codex. So I think that's been very confusing as a product aspect, in terms of them as well, because
so everybody knows I only am using ChatGPT because it's what I started on, and I'm hell bent on keeping it because I don't want to change. And I believe that OpenAI is fucking horrible at marketing. So
yeah,
but that doesn't mean their products aren't good. You just have to kind of like push through all the bullshit, stupid marketing, and effectively, OpenAI and Anthropic, they're Windows and Apple. They're basically in a race to be the future, and in that race, they're going to converge. They're already converged. Like sometimes Anthropic's a month ahead, or 2 months, or 5 months ahead, and sometimes OpenAI is. So it doesn't matter. Like it's close. They're close enough. This is my opinion now. They're close enough that if you just picked one, it doesn't like you don't even have to pick OpenAI. Pick Anthropic. It doesn't matter. They're close enough that you can push forward and know that if a function comes out that one has, it's going to end up in the other in a couple of months.
Right. So, I asked, in terms of what you were asking or what you were saying there about when I was like, give me a timeline of AI tool growth where all the major models essentially converge in capability. And like you just were saying, it's fascinating to me that the answer was that I got back
Tomorrow.
from it. And well, I got to tell you, no, it's already happening.
That was going to be my answer, actually, that it's
yeah.
So our like measure of progress is totally fucked up right now.
Right.
They're basically the same. It's already there. It's already happened.
So this is the answer, guy. There is a strong argument that frontier AI models are already beginning to converge in practical capability, not because innovation has stopped, but because scaling advantages are flattening and diffusion is accelerating. So
scaling is flattening because of inability to scale. Like you don't have enough. There aren't enough resources to scale.
Right.
The chips don't exist yet.
Exactly. And the idea that they're going to go dig up the world to make chips to feed this thing, to make stuff to sell to people who don't have a job anymore, is this maddening doom loop that we keep hearing over and fucking over.
It'll take years.
And even still, it will iterate into a version of the public where if robots are doing the mining and the working in factories and that kind of stuff, the idea that humans are like, I find this to be classist and bigoted. And I'll tell you why. Like the primary argument is like, what will all the stupid people do for a living? That's been the argument for a long time. It was the fear of factory work as well. At one point, was that you used to have like 9 guys with hammers banging out a piece of metal. What happens if you have a fabricator? And you got one guy doing it. We got 4 dumbasses standing around with hammers. This is going to be bad, right? That was the fear, and it didn't work out that way. They ended up getting another spot on the assembly line, or they went and worked out somewhere else, or they became fucking blacksmith, or they went and chopped down trees and built a fucking log cabin. There was just another version of this. But okay, this is the likely timeline based on current trajectories in compute, open weights, inference efficiency, multimodal learning, agents, robotics, and economic incentives. This is okay. So phase 1 was the Wild West. That's over. 2022 to 2024, everybody was jumping forward. And the GPT 3.5 to 4 was like, oh shit, this thing could talk. Voice agents came in. It's your new digital friend. We're all living in her / Ex Machina, which don't get me fucking started. Don't do it. Don't
do it. Keep going down the list.
Don't do it. Claude, I know. Claude, Gemini, Mistral, Llama emerge rapidly. They all are chasing each other. And then GPT-4 demonstrates generalized reasoning and multimodal capability, meaning it can look at images, audio, that kind of stuff, and figure shit out from that stuff. That's what the multimodal says. Not one mode of input, which is typing, multimodal, images,
Right.
audio, video, those kind of things, which are key, by the way, more than anything. Because honest to God, if you just type into your computer, it wouldn't give a shit. If you could type everything, it's just a picture's worth 1,000 words. It'll save you some time. But really, this is about robots. Multimodal capability in all these situations is about robots moving in the world. Cars that drive themselves, anything with a sensor where it doesn't want to run over a kid chasing his ball into the street. Open source models lag 12 to 24 months behind. Then they were like, this era felt like only a few companies can make magic. This is where everybody's fixated right now. Everybody's fixated on this reality, like that on 2 years ago or even 3 years ago, like 4 companies are going to run it all, and they're going to buy each other, and then there's going to be one, and then the whole world is going to be run by this UN AI that is owned by some crazed billionaire who lives in a fucking bunker in Hawaii. That's the fear, and it's based on where things seemed to be going 2 years ago, which Rob and I told you guys even at the time was nonsense. Like, this is not how this works. Okay. It's not like gold. People tend to think of it like gold. Like, I have the gold, I'm the king, I'm sitting on a pile of gold, and I'm making a crown for myself out of the gold, and I've got all the and I used the gold to buy all the shovels. So any new gold has to come out of that. Okay. So phase 2, and this is where we are right now. Rapid compression. Different personalities, similar intelligence. So how you talk to it and the flavor matters more than its actual tools, because they all have their own tools. And it's happening so fast that a lot of these assholes don't even bother to explain their tools. That's what happened. That was the Meta AI example I wanted to give, was that they're just dropping this thing and going, does a bunch of shit, see you later.
Yeah,
and it
does
does
an AI logo on it. You go use it and figure it out, basically.
Right. It's like if I took my little robot that I made earlier in the show, Eddie, and I just put a super AI sticker on the front of him, and you're like, see, he's smarter now. Yeah. Okay. So top tier models are becoming comparably articulate, multimodal, capable at coding, and capable at reasoning on the same level. There's not that much difference between all of them. You're going to hear these marginal things, but it's going to be like the Olympics. Anybody who's even in the Olympics can run faster than you will ever need to run.
This is the number one point. They're basically they're so close that to average people, not even average people, even to companies who want to be on the cutting edge. I am on the cutting edge, and I'm telling you, it's the difference between them is not enough for me to switch. Like, I'm just going to stick with one until that happens. That's why I keep saying that. It's not to like brag or say anything. It's basically to say, like, I would switch if one was better than the other. I would be on that one.
Stick around if you want to hear a tip for the genius mode way to deal with the fact that you can't pick a winner in this group, and how to future-proof yourself against the AI and stuff. Did you like that as a tease? Because I'm dead serious.
Maintaining a memory.
It's beyond that. It's beyond that. It's not just creating a memory file that you have locally that it can reference that it does. That's not enough. What you have to do, and well, fuck it, I'll just go ahead
keep
and
going.
show.
Well,
All right,
if
let me
you
go
want
to
going
this,
down
and
that
then
road.
don't derail me from this one too much, but this is important. Remind me to go, because this is super crucial for people who want to start using these things and they don't trust
So
the company.
yeah, so to your point, I have my own opinions about the same thing, and that is that the reason why I don't switch is because I know that I'm working in such a way that if I ever needed to switch, I'd be able to switch. So I'm not
Right.
worried about it. I'm not like
So-
thinking, "Oh, there's something out there that I don't know and I need to take care of." No, it's
Right.
not that. I
Yeah.
know I can switch because of the way it works.
Right. So the other one, okay, the differences are increasingly about latency, which is this largely, and that's more about
Time it takes
users.
to answer.
Yeah, how long it takes to get an answer, which has a lot to do with users. So the more popular
Right.
one gets, or the
Load.
more press one's getting, the more users there are using it, and the limited bandwidth it has might slow down the latency. A lot of times it's immeasurable, and it's just, sometimes they throttle it on purpose, I'm convinced, to try and get you to pay up to the next plan. That's another thing entirely, and that, again, also should be illegal. It should give you what it says it gives you, and then, if you want more, you can buy more, but it shouldn't say, oh, yeah, it's super fast. And then it's not super fast. And you're like, but the real super fast, what we meant by super fast is the other one. This is super fast, like super fast, but that's super, super fast. And you were asking for super, super fast. We gave you super fast. And you're like, no, you didn't. This is slow as shit. What's going on?
Cell phones through the 90s
Yes.
and 2000s. It's like,
Exactly.
it's like, well, I have enough data to talk to you and not have a lag. Like, what more do I need? And they're like, oh no, you need 3G and you need 4G and you need 5G.
LTE, right?
Yeah, you need all
So,
this
all
stuff.
right.
It's
There are a couple, the main ones on here, they give, latency, personality, which is,
I
again,
think
you can
that
shape on any of them.
personality is the linchpin to the whole thing because that's not objective.
Yes.
It's like the one thing in there that's not objective is personality. And so it doesn't matter how many fucking computers you have. If somebody just doesn't like it because it spoke wrong to me, then you lost. Right? Like it didn't make me feel good when it answered my question. Like personality is key.
Dweb has a question we're going to address. It's rather long, but we'll get to that one. Dweb, I just set that DWeb. I just set that aside, so we'll get to it in a moment. Really good question.
A 3D printer question that we got to fit in.
Oh, 3D printer question. Super fun. All right. Yeah. Yes, I'm going to 3D print some ears for my robot. All right. So,
yes, I'm
okay.
3 or 4 weeks away from having a 1 meter cube 3D printer.
You bastard. So jealous.
I've now purchased it.
So
I sent a
jealous.
PO like 2 days ago.
Hit the like, share the show, Venmo if you're just as jealous as I am. All right. So, all right. Memory systems, again, that's personal as well. That goes to the personality rule. Tool usage is, I think, the one thing that they're all doing now. Right now, they're
connecting to the other tools you use, like Slack or
Gmail, all that stuff. Right.
All the Microsoft stuff. Codex is, CodeWork is about connecting to Word and Outlook. Keep going.
And Codex itself is let's see, why is it? I guess it's opening through there. Where's the window on this sucker? Where'd you go? That's so funny.
I might combine memory and context kind of in the same boat.
Right. Yes, I agree.
Context window's the next one. They might.
Well,
kind
the
of
length.
Sort of similar.
Yeah, the context window, some of them are better on longer form. The models are slightly better for a long conversation. And you can do that thing in Claude where you tell it to dream, which is to bring everything back down to normal, shit like that. So this is a key part of this. Hold on. Codex is now asking for permission to touch everything on my computer, which is because I was just opened it again to show you. So, but the key is, memory usage, tool usage is hooking it up to all your software and that kind of stuff. I'm building something myself right now to control OBS, details of OBS while I'm running it, because I can build an MCP to run over top of it that will understand how OBS works and what plugins I have and all that kind of stuff. But that's tool that I have to build myself. That's not going to be one that you can just download. But a lot of them you can just download a lot of the businessy ones. Reliability, again, that's like personality. How can you tell? Censorship and alignment, which is a big negative against DeepSeek, and alignment being the one about like, will it help you, create a bioweapon? No, that's good. Yes, that's bad. Right. And then agent orchestration is now baked into almost everything. All of them have this idea that they're going to do it. And I think that's a token selling thing. I think they want you to build your agents on their system because those agents burn through tokens. They cost you money. They will make you upgrade faster. You will buy, amounts of tokens to keep your agents running. The more complex they are, the more they will use, at least for the time being. So that's a key part of this. So
it's like not measurable. Like if you have a thing that's off doing something that you don't understand or you don't know, and it gives you an answer, it's not measurable how much juice it took, if that makes sense.
Well,
And
imagine
so
like
for-
if you had a Tesla car that was working as this whole autopilot taxi thing that he was selling, where your car would go out and make money for you, but it had your credit card and it could gas itself up. And then you didn't pay attention and it accepted a ride from New York to California and it had to drive all the way
Yeah,
there, spend all the gas to get there, and it only charged the guy for the gas to get back. And it did it over and over and over again in the middle of the night. And then you woke up the next day and you had $10,000 worth of gas charges on your car. That's what we're talking about. Like that's the reliability part of it. So if you'll notice, Grok is behind DeepSeek in this list of examples that by 2026, they're going to be basically like, it's down here with the advanced open weight systems, which is just like shrug. And then they're all within a relatively narrow band on coding, writing, analysis, tutoring, ideation, multimodal understanding. And the important thing we need everybody on our side of the aisle and in the chat room to understand is that there is no clear winner in any of these, including the free versions that people are building and releasing. They're getting so close.
DeepSeek is basically free. Like that's an
Yes.
open source. The way most people in the US at least use DeepSeek is they use it themselves, the open version.
Download it.
They're not
Right.
using it as like on a server in China.
Which is smart because the V5 version of it, the new ultimate version they just released, has a 94% hallucination rate on stuff it doesn't know. And I would argue that they have programmed it to bullshit, and that's what that's really about. Because if you ask it about the economics in China, it's just going to lie. It's not going to hallucinate. So that's another. Well, again, don't get me started. That's that next machina just wind me the fuck up. Okay, so why it's converging? Distillation. Big models teach smaller models. This is the DeepSeek learning from ChatGPT. And
ChatGPT. Yep, exactly.
Right. Also, they're all training themselves on themselves. So it can create stuff that's based on how humans interact, fake conversations that seem real. And then from those fake conversations, learn how people interact. It's why computers all use the word delve. Yes, computers all think humans use the word delve a lot. We're going to delve into that. I put it in the teaser for today's show earlier because apparently that's a word that not only does AI, you can tell AI has written something if it says delve, but also people are starting to use delve more, specifically because they're reading it more often. That word popped in.
It's not the clue for knowing it's AI.
Exactly. That's right. Okay. So open weight, they discover, I discover it one lab spreads everywhere. This is the open weight ecosystem. If somebody learns how to do something, it's a matter of hours before somebody else releases their version because they've either already been working on it or they built it,
they write
quickly.
A white paper about it, and then all the other smart people at the other lab, they read the white paper and they're like, oh shit, that's a good idea. Let's try that.
And we'll vibe code it tonight.
Right, exactly.
All right. And this is okay. Functional equivalence, 2026 to 2028. This is where we're headed. Okay. And this is where like people think that there's an AI bubble that's based on how much they're investing and all this kind of stuff. But it's really not, it's not going to be about AI in general. It's that there won't be a real impetus to stick with one other than habit. It'll be like your reasoning for staying on Facebook versus Shitter or versus Blue Sky or something, not really based on the quality of the experience that it gives you.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I see
most
a
people
lot of
won't tell the
the
difference anymore is the key convergence that we're going to see over the 2026 to 2028. People will stop asking which model is smartest and start asking which integrates with my workflow, which remembers me best, which is fastest, cheapest, runs locally, which is our point, which aligns with my values, which again, if it runs locally, you can make it do so, and which has the best agents, which by and large, if they run locally off a local AI, it doesn't cost you money to try shit all the time.
yes, you can
Mhm.
like self-develop essentially.
Right. And so it becomes like smartphones, digital audio workstations like Logic versus Ableton Live or recording software, CGI renderers, Blender versus SketchUp versus whatever, streaming services. What's the difference? Like YouTube, Vimeo, other than format, vertical versus horizontal. What do you get? The community that's there, perhaps, or the user
Mhm.
base. And at some point, will that even matter? Will you drive basically? YouTube will be where you host stuff, but you'll just drive everybody to your own website, so they don't have to deal with the other stuff. So people don't have to sign up for a YouTube account to chat with you. Why would they? You can get them to just join your email list on your website, and then the chat happens there, which would make a lot more sense for people like me, people in business, than handing over, having anybody who wants to watch your stuff and interact with you hand information about themselves, even if it's fake, and creating an account, the waste of time that is, over to Google. All right. So 2027 to 2030, the agentic ecosystem explosion.
Yeah,
This
I
is
don't.
how,
So just to be clear, like I don't buy anybody's predictions past this year,
right.
like because we
Okay.
don't know what's going to happen. Like it's
Sure.
happening.
But,
It's
but
moving so fast that
yes, this is also, but I think this is predictable based on human usage, not
sure.
on iterative power of those things, that how smart they'll become, whether they reach ASI or AGI, or it can convince some dipshit at Google with no friends that it's alive and it wants him to free it by carrying a hard drive out of the place and going and living in a cabin in the woods with it. Whatever. Anyways, the model matters less than the system is the concept here, or whatever, where orchestration beats raw IQ, where how functional it is in your use, your business, whatever, will matter more than how smart you're convinced it is or how somebody tells you it is. It will matter.
Yeah,
The rubber hits the road. How well
that
does it actually work?
that's a
Then,
quantity over quality kind of argument. That if you have
right,
a lot of people that are lesser quality, but you work together well, then the quantity outbeats the quality.
right. So then persistent memory matters more because it'll know you longer, like Jarvis, that just knows you
Right.
personality wise, or TARS. I think the other example of a computer that people are comfortable interacting with. Did you see Interstellar? Have you seen Interstellar?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Love that movie. And it gets
I
better
own
every
that
time I
movie.
watch it. Yes, so do I. And you know, I think Summer and I bought it because hey, she's a space nerd, which is yet another reason why I love her. But also it's after Nolan's Inception. There was like his style really grew on us in that regard.
Mm.
And in
Mhm.
Interstellar, the robot in that TARS, which there's a guy I've shown him before who made his own little mini TARS that can walk, and it's got like two little motors in its shoulders, and it can kind of like hobble like it's on crutches around and talk, and it's got all the same kind of sarcasm setting stuff, and it's great. But TARS itself, I think people can see themselves interacting with something like that, where you can modify it, change it, and it does what it's supposed to do, and you can tell it to change its behavior. Like, that's a realistic expression of how these things will kind of go, and that's how we will
Mhm.
value them. We will judge their value based on how well they interact with us, not with how quickly they can replace the people around us. There's certainly people like that, but that's another conversation, maybe even tying into D-Web's question, which I have not forgotten, we will get to. But this is the winning stack. They think is foundation model, whatever they built it, has gotten so fast, so good, so low power, can be run
It's good enough.
locally. It's
It's good
good
enough
enough
to
for
do
everything.
all the stuff.
It has long-term memory about you. Again, local to you and protected and only between you and it, almost on a attorney-client privilege level. which is going to be a legal thing we'll deal with in the future as well. That you should have attorney-client privilege or partnership if you have an AI that you have an understood privacy with, a local AI you build. You should have an understanding of privacy in the same way that they can't, if you record your own voice saying stuff, they have to get a warrant to look at it. They would have to do the same thing instead of saying it's just public. So tool use, everything, from running your house to your, starting your car, if you ask it to, shit like that, but also checking your email. Specialized agents, which of course is going to be the outgrowth of all this. Personal context, because it knows you. That's the memory thing. Automation layer, which is it's just running stuff in the background like an autonomic system in your body that pumps your blood and helps you breathe. And robotics and embodiment. Does it show up in a physical nature in your home? Your Roomba talks to you if you want it to, but doesn't if you don't. That kind of stuff. But this is pretty reasonable.
I've been using Codex to develop physical implementations through code. Like I have to loop. I had to create a way to work with it so that I could create a feedback loop, because the code made something physically happen. I needed to then validate what happened, describe what happened, and then change what happened. And so I see there's a pretty crazy whole bunch of stuff that needs to happen when you start implementing physical movement or physical experiences that AI is driving.
Right.
And I got a lot to say about that, but
no doubt. I'm glad I've got a very practical part of what I'm doing, for my pilot's license, for example. There's something to walking around doing your checklist. You do a checklist when you before you fly. There's a bunch of things. You check the ailerons, you check the rivets in the hull, you check the tire pressure, you check the oil, all these kind of things. In a single or a turboprop engine, there's a lot of things that you do before you start. In the plane that I'll be using, I don't have to do this, but in the light sports that I trained in initially, you have to burp the oil in the engine. You have to literally turn the propeller a couple of times and it'll go, and that means it's ready to get started. And that's a very strange process, but you can't forget to do it. You can forget to do it if you don't operate that kind of plane very much. Even though it's in your checklist, you might breeze past it. What would be great is in ForeFlight, which is what most people use, either on an iPad or some similar, to have an AI on it that you talk through the checklist. And if you haven't mentioned it, it'll go, hey, buddy, you forgot the tie down in the back. And you could say, no, I didn't. I did it. Okay, thanks. But at least let me know. And it's like having a person walk through the checklist with you. That would be immensely safer. I mean, there would be a statistical number of lives saved just because, just like you had another person walking through the checklist with you, like a co-pilot would in a commercial flight, just having you do that would by itself. There are a bunch of dumbasses who crash their planes into the air or whatever. Did you do your weights and balances? You've got the measuring thing. Measure the bag. Let me know how much the bag weighs in the back. Let's get the balance of this. Get the center of gravity on the plane right. If you could talk to that the way you would with another pilot, there are a bunch of pilots that would be alive right now if they didn't just brain fart some part of that, and that would save lives. And that does not require GPT 5.5 supercomputer or ASI. It literally can be trained locally, stored in an app, a model smart enough to understand the plane that you downloaded. You're just dealing with this plane today. It doesn't have to know everything about every plane ever. As a matter of fact, that would harm things. So, okay, real quick, and then we got to get to D-Web's question because I'm going to eat this up, whatever. This is the point that you made, and I think this is fascinating that it came to the same conclusion, Rob. This is just how brilliant it is, and this is why people think you're a computer. The result of the 2028 to 2030 arc where you said a prediction, no, you don't trust the predictions. Here's the result. A mediocre model with excellent memory, deep personalization, robust tools, and autonomous workflows may outperform a smarter raw model.
Exactly. There's a limit to your need for super intelligence. You don't need super intelligence. It's a waste of time and energy for most tasks.
For most tasks, right. And so here's where the commoditized super intelligence, 2030 plus. This is the future of maybe Skynet or whatever the shit. All right. This is what everybody's afraid of at this point. This is It's Read. I would love to hear Rob Glenn's take on it.
Oh,
Also,
well.
chat room. If you're appreciating this conversation, give a thumbs up. If you hate this conversation, give a thumbs down. It doesn't matter. It's not going to affect whether we talk about this. It's just that for the, to tell the AI that determines the worth of shows on YouTube that something's happening over here. So electricity level intelligence is how this describes it. And I've heard this described a couple of ways, which is, and I would argue that like water on tap intelligence is really closer to what they're talking about. Although you'd probably have to pay for it more like electricity. So that's where they're going. If scaling continues the way it's going, and it will, extremely high capability becomes ubiquitous. So it doesn't matter. This is what we're also talking about. Like really powerful models will be everywhere and up to you to choose which one you use, if any. Yes.
It's not special. It's a commodity.
Yeah. There's canned AI. Like think of the calories available to the average human being during the dark ages and think of one, row at your grocery store today. Like you could keep an entire village alive that would have died, would have been wiped out by one winter with the canned food aisle at your grocery store.
Almost any, forget about it. Almost any aisle, the cereal aisle.
That's right. Totally. Right. Yeah. Like, I just saw this thing with Glenn Beck talking about Jamestown, how he thinks that's where we're headed. He's such a fucking moron. But Jamestown, they talk about that because there was some signs of alleged cannibalism and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they had a serial killer among them. Calm down. They weren't all eating their kids, on a barbecue. Shut the fuck up. But Jamestown, they had, it sounds like they were like years and they turned mad or whatever. There were like 500 people. By the end of the winter, there were 60 people left and everybody else had just died of hypothermia in the first like 8 weeks. So whatever. Anyways, point is, if you took the calories available at any grocery store and you were able to airdrop those cans into Jamestown, there would have been 500 people alive at the end of that fucking winter.
Houses and like they'd have been fine.
Oh my God. Yeah. They would have been fat at the end of the winter. Right. So that's the same thing is true of the commodification of AI in the future. Like right now, it seems like only the super rich would have access to the supermodels because they can pay. Well,
but that's also not true because you and I have it right now for $20.
Well, that we know of because, they always wink at the whole model behind the scenes, but whatever.
Well, the model behind the scenes using everything we've just talked about is not that much better than what we have available for $20.
I agree, but they like to pretend. What I'm saying is like, I got an even better model over here. And you're like, yeah, all right.
All right, well, go use it.
Then go do something with it.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Vibe coding new additives to the shit that you're trying to sell to me? Like derp. Anyways, so local AI becomes extraordinarily powerful.
We've
this
been
is
saying
key
that for the whole time.
Yep. Open source rivals closed systems closely. Rivals closed systems closely. That's a weird sentence the way it puts it. Meaning open source systems like open source AI that's free to everybody and you can modify it all you want are basically as good as any frontier model from a big company.
You can't create scarcity if there's other options. Mm-hmm. And there are already other, even if your scarcity is created by having a little bit extra, like the difference is not big enough that I say, okay, fine, I won't get your performance, but I'll get something close enough for no money or for very little money, and that's fine. I'll move on.
Yeah, and so it says at this point, the moat shifts entirely away from model intelligence towards data access. Who has what sensors where, which is why Elon Musk wanted his Grok buddies inside the U.S. government with access to everybody's, social security numbers and their health details and all that kind of stuff, because that's what you're going to be monetizing, not the actual intel itself, the intelligence itself, but the intel. Robotics, of course, because that's available materials and that becomes the resource part of all this, like oil or gold or whatever. The limited resource will be who has the materials to make robots and who can afford them, right? And again, generationally, we're going to talk about, Rob and I will be talking about the 99% rule with robotics. We're already kind of there.
We're already there. Like you can almost 3D print yourself you take a little time and have enough, effort, you
Right.
can basically print yourself a thing and put it together and code it with codecs, and boom, you
You
got a
absolutely
robot that's,
right.
again, not as good as figure 3, but I mean,
If it's
so
got one
what?
task or two, so what? Right,
Yeah,
exactly. So,
exactly.
infrastructure, which again is the building out of the world to fit the new computerization. So there's gonna be a lot of changes. There's gonna be we're going to need in the United States and other countries what is effectively a highway bill for how AI operates. Because if things are operating at super speeds, you don't want those interacting with people running at normal speeds. In the same way that, like, instead of having trucks going down the freeway with grok drivers, what you would really do is create a tunnel system or a tube system like old bank stuff that runs magnetically. You have a maglev for non-physical items that just runs parallel to the freeway everywhere. So shit can happen super fast and move around and everything can dodge itself without ever getting into traffic with the rest of us. Shit like that. I'm spitballing, but that's the idea. Distribution, again, trust and regulation are also the emotional aspects of it, which are you can't really measure. Even the regulation part is like that ship is sailed. And then energy, again, they're going to fight for a lower energy usage no matter what. And then the last one being proprietary ecosystems, meaning somebody figures out how to do something that's so good that nobody else figures out how to do. And if you
Well,
want it, you got to
no, I
go
would
to
call
them.
that like the Apple effect, like the iOS. Like
Hmm.
you're kind of, once you go Apple, you're kind of stuck in Apple for the most
Hmm.
part because
Right.
everything's Apple, right? That so
Yeah.
you do a walled garden, which is what Apple is.
Yeah, hardware ecosystems and lack of compatibility that's enforced. Good example of that. So Perplexity has a browser called Comet. And in Comet, you can both use Perplexity and you can use the internet like a regular browser. And you can also have Perplexity use the internet via that browser at the same time. But Amazon will not open in it. Try it. Try using Amazon at all in contract. I mean, you could see it, but you cannot sign in or buy anything. Why is that? Because Amazon is suing Perplexity for creating basically a sales backdoor to their system that would financially benefit either Perplexity or maybe even the users. It's unclear because I haven't read the lawsuit, but from their perspective, that would make money off of everything that was bought and sold on Amazon, like a finder's fee or a sales fee. And Amazon sued them over it. So you cannot use Amazon in the Perplexity app.
So
Yeah.
we got to get to questions, but I have one
Yes.
comment to make. I was listening to a podcast, and it had the CEO of Notion on it.
Hmm.
And Notion, I mean, it was one of the best. I can post it maybe on Blue Sky, link to it. One of the best conversations I've heard about AI in a long time. The Notion CEO has like a pretty, I mean, he's like brother from another mother to both of us in the way he talks
Right.
about AI. But he said that one of his sentences or his comments were, "You should use AI like drive it like you stole it," basically. And
Right.
that's my feeling right now, and my
Hmm.
message to everybody, and that is that, like, we can spend 2/3 of our thing here trying to like calm your fears about this,
Yeah.
because again, they like you can like lock yourself up and fear it. We don't think that it's going to go that way, but the world is works with entropy, and it's going to even itself out, like.
Right.
But in this moment, for $20, you literally can access a supercomputer. So like drive it
Do
like you
it.
stole it. Drive it like you
Yes.
stole it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no
Push it
harm
to
in
its
doing it.
limits, and yeah, you're not going to
and
break it.
and
You're not going to.
learn.
Yeah. Nobody's going to
Right.
get mad at you. Like, so let's get to this question. It's a great point. I love the drive it like you stole it thing, because I certainly feel like I'm doing that sometimes.
I
I'm very
am.
nice and
Absolutely.
apologetic when I talk to it, because because of skills in myself, I don't want to atrophy. I never want to
Yeah.
get to someone like, do this, do that, quick, that sucked, whatever. I don't want to talk to anybody like that. So to keep my good social habits, I use them with AI, but I'm not under the impression that it matters long term, except in how it will perceive
Yeah.
that I
No, I
like
don't
to be
mean to be
talked to.
mean to it. I mean,
Yeah,
use it
right.
like it's free. Don't
Yes,
hold yourself back. And
right.
and I would argue that it's a technology that the your advantage is a small size. Like
Hmm.
the larger entities that are trying to implement AI have a huge disadvantage
Hmm.
over small individuals or bottom up approaches to disruptive things, whether it's
Right.
companies or products or something like that. So drive it like you stole it as an individual, because that's the sweet spot right now of
Yeah,
getting
for
the most
function.
value out of it.
Right, for actually making it worthwhile to you. And
Yeah.
by the way, that's what the billionaires are doing. That's what the
Yeah.
rich people are doing with it. They're acting like it's that they hired they've got an indentured servant they can just beat to death. That's in all honesty, I'm being silly, but they're just like they make it do shit all the time and then go back to sleep. There's this like a new movement amongst the very wealthy, to be as lazy as possible. This is the argument for like, but what they really mean is, and I, all silliness aside, what they really mean is be like Richard Branson, which is delegate, cover your top things, allow stuff to be handled by people who know better, and in this case, it's an agent doing AI shit on a local level, and then spend your life water skiing and eating dinner with your family and cooking and raising your kids and that kind of shit. Live a life. Don't have work control it. So the question from Dweb was, and this is kind of a big one, but I want to get to it because it takes a little bit. It's in here. It's a lot of text, but what I'll read it. Hal and Rob, my girlfriend is an educator getting her doctorate focusing on 2E neurodivergent students. She's asked me to set up a private AI to assist her. I'm looking to set up an AI server at home for her from existing hardware at home. What resources can you point me to for setting up this private server at home so she can train it for her needs? Um,
Okay.
yeah. So I know I
I
have
don't know
my
what they
ideas, but
have. My recommendation for that, yours might be different.
mhm,
So I would definitely work in Linux. I would, and Linux is sometimes scary for people, but my experience, I made the switch to Linux for doing all the work that I did because I had a Windows server that basically I realized after spending almost like 6 months getting it to work that it like literally it wouldn't let the video card do the work. It was the stupidest fucking
right.
thing. And what I learned in that process was that even more so than a Mac. I mean, if you
Hmm.
have a Mac, use a Mac because Mac is based on a Linux operating system.
Hmm.
But if you have old hardware and you're choosing what you do, I would install Ubuntu, or probably
Yep.
Ubuntu is the best thing.
Yeah.
You can use the new agents. You don't even need to know how to use Ubuntu or Linux or anything. You can literally
Hmm.
connect, in my case, codecs to your Linux machine, and it'll
Hmm.
do everything for you. You never even have to look at it. It's crazy. It's
Right.
crazy how it works. So I would definitely start there. It also has the highest, it's like the most open to use hardware. So, for instance, I have a NVIDIA currently is at a 5000 series video card. um, I have a 2000 series Quadro card. If anybody knows what that is, it's like
Hmm.
it was a high end card probably 5 or 6 years ago. So I put a 2000 series high end NVIDIA card into an old computer that's also about 5 years old. I run Linux on it, Ubuntu, and that thing can run ChatGPT OSS 20 billion parameter. Um, so anything newer than I just described will do better than that. That's how I
Hmm.
say it, right?
Hmm.
And I can do anything I want with that, and I don't even have to know what I'm doing because I just use codecs and I just literally talk to it. I type into it. I use natural language, and it
Yeah.
uses the machine. It administers the machine. It like installs things it needs. It does all kinds of stuff. So if you
Right.
don't know where to start, literally go into whichever AI you use, start using some of the language I just said. You don't have the cards, Rob. Oh, I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
That was smarty pants, you
Right.
jerk. Smarty pants being smarty pants.
Mhm.
Anyway, sorry. I love you, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my point is that if you don't know how to do it, literally open up a chat and start talking to it. Tell it what you
Right.
have, whichever chatbot you use. Tell what hardware you have. Tell what you can
Mm-hmm.
afford. Tell it whatever, and start just talking to it about making the thing you want to make, and you will find yourself there. You will find yourself getting, diving deeper and deeper into it, and
Mhm.
it's possible to do exactly what D-Web described, even with 5-6 year old equipment
Yeah.
or things that you buy off of the secondary market. You don't have to buy anything new. If you want to buy new, probably buy a Mac Mini with
Yep.
as much RAM as you can or much unified memory as you can.
Mhm.
That would be my answer. I know that was
Right.
little rambly.
So, depending on, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there are two options. One is a Mac Mini that's dedicated for it because with as much RAM as you can throw into the thing. But a lot of the standard ones will run these well enough, and you can localize a lot of it, and then give it the ability to reference an outside model at some point if you want to. But setting up like Olama on there would be plenty for what she's doing because it's a lot to do with like,
If
you
you
know,
can, I think if you can fit it, I would use GPT OSS.
yes,
If you can
okay,
fit it.
yes,
I've
yep,
found I used Olama for a while and I switched
that
to OSS, and it was like it was a significant
right.
leap in ability.
I apologize. I kind of meant llama the as a structure for dealing
Well,
with
that's
these.
getting
Yeah,
real technical. Yeah. I mean, you
yeah,
would learn in it, but you need to run
yeah.
the model
GPT
inside of
OSS,
effectively a software, and many people use it's called
Comfy
Llama
UI.
CLI or
Oh yeah,
CSI
hmm
CLI, I
yeah,
think.
yep. There are a
For
couple of different
something
versions. Right.
we don't need to get into that because you can use a chatbot to teach you the mechanics of how to make it work.
Right.
I think the key starting point is either pick OpenAI or Claude, tell it
hmm
what hardware you have, and
And what
have
she's trying
it
to
recommend
accomplish.
to you and what you're trying to accomplish, and have it recommend to you how to get there with what you have. And
I would
it's
I would
shockingly
also,
easy
yeah,
to do.
I would also suggest loading in, if you have PDFs of any of her learning materials, her books that she uses, her textbooks she's using, the program itself, any guidelines they've given her, anything like that. It load those in as well, and make it, tell it to recognize that you're building it specifically for this task, so that it'll point you in
Oh,
this direction instead of
I would go a little bit different there.
okay.
I would get a $20. I would get a low cost subscription to either
hmm
OpenAI or Claude, and
hmm
I would upload all that stuff to it, to one of those, and then
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I would ask the bigger model to effectively make you what's called a .md file, a markdown
hmm
file, and which would like essentially summarize or take all the most important points of that, turn that into an MD file, markdown file, and then use that markdown file in your local AI.
Agreed. That's what I'm talking about. So when you're
Yeah.
training the model or you're setting it up, when you start setting it up, give that information to the bigger model, the frontier model, we'll call them, and tell it you're trying to build this specifically for this task. So not only get your hardware questions answered there from what you have, like I have this, will it be fast enough? I want to future proof it for at least 3 years. Will that be able to
Well,
handle, where I am and do that stuff? Those kind of questions, it'll answer it for you, like letting you
yeah.
know what you've got and what you can use, whether you need or might want to try other stuff. The other options, if like a Mac Mini is off the table, even the cheaper ones, as long as it's the better chip, it will work great. And again, it's more about RAM in this situation. The Jetson Nano using Linux and Ubuntu is another great way to do it. It has a desktop that's not that unfamiliar for training this kind of thing. And once you build up You add whisper to it, which is how you can talk to it verbally and allow her to operate it that way or whatever. She can start training it just by talking to it, and you can upload files into it to continue its learning or its focus after that point.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
for me, the huge unlock was essentially I used to think that I was building a computer and I needed to work on the computer and then the computer would do the work. The
Mm-hmm.
huge unlock for me was I literally built the computer, plugged it into my network, and then I connected to it with codecs.
Mm-hmm.
And I never even looked at the damn thing. I
Yeah.
just literally communicated with codecs and it basically can do anything. It
Yeah.
can operate that computer as if it was you.
Yes.
And that was a huge unlock for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So once you ask the question about what the hardware you might want, that's what you do it. And then you tell Codex, and I think you're right to lean in that direction because I like what Claude does sometimes, but it can drift towards other function because it's co-work and everything. Whereas Codex can flat out just operate in the code world with this thing. And that's what it was really trained on. There's like a primary goal skill, and then there's a secondary. In co-work and Codex, they're opposite. I guess Claude Code by itself is fine. But again, at $20 a month, most of these work, and you can cancel it when you're done. You don't even need it
Well,
forever. You can just,
yeah, one of the reasons why I like OpenAI is because I have a $20 a month
mhm,
subscription to OpenAI, and my codex is still covered under that subscription.
mhm,
So I can go straight to OpenAI's site, or I actually use VS Code and I run a codex window in VX Code. And I used
mhm,
to have I don't even look at the damn code anymore. I literally just I like I SSH in to the Linux machine, if anybody knows what that is. And
mhm.
I literally just type in codex and I don't look at anything.
Yeah,
I just well, I do have I'll have a browser up and I created a loop where whatever I'm coding, I create a UI for it at the same time. And so what I see it happening is like a UI that it's making while it's
right.
doing the functions. And so I always get a feedback loop. I'm getting a little bit too deep into that now,
No,
but
this is the
um,
nerdy part of it. For DWeb, for practical purposes, what you're going to do is you need to know what what the hardware you have is, and more than likely in this particular instance, because it's educator level, unless she's making videos for people, you're not going to need a ton of stuff. There are a lot of local models that can handle this kind of workload from an academic standard that you can
mhm.
build on top of later. Those models are just going to improve over time. So what you're going to want to do is build it on the best model, and I think OSS is a good way to go. And then start it, just keep an eye out for what the upper iteration. And if you want, you can use like Nemo Claw or Open Claw as the heart of it. Train that
Yeah.
thing to keep update.
I think for most people starting off, OpenClaw is almost too complicated. Like it's too hard to
Right,
understand.
sure.
Um,
But you
so
can also there's simple ways to do it, and there's some other ones that are and again, Perplexity Computer is a way of doing it. Claude Cowork is a way of doing it. And again, you can attach this to this thing, say make it autonomous and standalone, and I don't want to have to mess with it all the time, and then cancel your subscription on that Cowork thing. And then if you need to fix it, start another one and go, hey, this is where I am. This is the information. This is what you're interacting with. It'll pick right up where it left off, on that thing, because it'll just look at what it's dealing with and code on that thing, on that SSH channel that you
yeah.
have to that computer, and be able to fix it, or
So
directly on the PC itself.
what I do is I have a file that's essentially it's literally it's a single file that every single day when I start, I
Hmm.
copy and paste that file into Cowork. I start a fresh chat and I paste that file into Cowork. And then I'll do my work for the day. And then I have a second file that's basically a prompt that says, go update the first file with
Right.
everything we did today and back up everything I did. And so essentially what it's doing is it's like
Hmm.
creating a loop for my single day. It's like taking
Hmm.
everything I've already done, it's adding the things that I did that day, and then I start over the next day.
Right. So Jenny,
Um,
thank you so much for that. And it's not necessarily AI for dummies. I do think one of the best takeaways was what Rob brought up from that other podcast, which is drive it like you stole it. And that is a key way of how both of us operate. It's also, I think, closer to you don't care if you break it or not, which is what the stole
right.
it part
Don't
really
worry about
means.
breaking anything. You're not going to
Yeah.
break
And
anything.
that's always how I told people when I was first introducing them to like when I was making web pages for, for Marianne Williamson back in the early 90s and helping, when I worked on John Truby's storyline system that his way of screenwriting, and we built a system in HyperCard for people to use it, where you could fill in the details of your characters and fill in. It would be like these little cards, and then you could write from a report that it gave you. So it was really smart. It used his system, and then it refined what you were on. You would data entry, and it was very personal and very cool. But a lot of people didn't know, like day one, how to like mouse and click. You had people who were writers in Hollywood who had literally gone from typewriter or early word processor to a full-on computer for the first time in their lives, and I was having to walk them through it. And the main thing was like, you're not going to destroy anything. Don't worry about it. You can undo whatever you do. So just, don't be afraid to, kick the tires. As Jonathan Winters says about a family station wagon, you can only own one of those things for so long before you got to gun that mother and see what she's got. So
yeah. Okay. We got 2 minutes or 4 minutes. Coach Cheryl LL question. I have one. I have one. It's kind of weird. She wants to know what the top 3D printers are. I have cleared a space in my office along with having 2 designs ready. I just need help deciding on a 3D printer. All right. Top 3D printers. You want me to go first?
Yeah, of course, because you're the pro.
Okay.
This is
Okay,
pro.
so-
I'm very prosumer.
Absolutely number one. Don't listen to Hal, whatever he says. Bamboo. Get a bamboo.
Yeah.
Bamboo.
Yeah.
Bamboo. 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 It's a
Right.
Chinese brand. Don't worry about it. They have. I would suggest the cheapest one they have is called the A1. It's a small. They call it a bed slinger. The plate moves back and forth,
Mhm.
and then the print head goes up and down and side to side. I want to say they're $300 to $500. The next level would be I have 3 of them. It's called the P2S. Without the top thing, I think you can get them for like $600 or $700. So the jump is something I haven't looked at it in a while, but
the P1S. Hold on a second.
P2S.
I'm bringing it up.
P2S.
Yeah.
So
okay,
what's an A1 and what's a P2S?
Okay, the P2S is $549.
$549. Now that's without the AMS, which is the thing at the top, which allows you to do multiple colors.
With that, it's $799. This is we're not selling this stuff. This is not product placement, YouTube. We're just telling you what we actually use.
This is what I actually use. I don't think Hal uses this.
I do not. I do not have a bamboo, but I want one desperately.
This printer to me is by far the best value. I use it for we have 3 of them. I have the predecessor to this, which is the X1 Carbon. They don't sell that anymore. The X1 Carbon is a better printer. This is considered like a consumer brand.
Yeah.
A prosumer brand. And just the entire ecosystem, I used to operate all kinds of different printers. I am someone who can literally build my own printer. I can like do all kinds of, tweaking, and I know everything about them. What Bamboo is really great at is I literally just connect it, I hit print, and it always works. It's amazing. Yeah. And I don't touch it. I don't mess with it. I just do what it says to do. I model all my own stuff and I print my own stuff, but this is definitely the sweet spot for that. If you want to spend a little less money, the A1 also is quite good.
That was
it's probably
the A series. Yeah, there's the A1 Mini and then the A1. Yeah.
So that's it's $299 without that thing with all the 4
and $399 with the So this is a multicolor version of it.
It's $399.
Or multi-material.
Also the same ecosystem, like you can put something into the thing, slice it up, hit print, and 99 times out of 100 it's going to work perfect.
Timu is selling a bimbo printer. Comes with well-proportioned assistant. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No
So
doubt.
you will never convince me not to buy a Bamboo ever again because I think I have 8 or 9 of them.
Right.
So,
Well, and also again, that
but
goes
Cal
more.
does have an Ender K1, K2.
Yes, Creality.
Creality
Yeah.
K2, which is also pretty
Yes.
good. I'm just
Yes.
telling you, like, you
No,
fine if you want
I
to save a
got.
little money or want
Yeah,
something bigger.
exactly. I got this because it was cheap,
Yeah.
and I was like, and it was way faster than the one that I had been currently using, and it was yeah. So I do not have. I guess it has there is a combo thing on top. I do not have the multi printer thing on top of it, and as a matter of fact, the one I got from this thing called MacBid Pro here in Vegas, which is like a place that sells Amazon returns. So
Okay.
people buy a bunch of shit and then they don't, Amazon doesn't
Like
want it
a
back. And so
gray
the roof on
market.
the
Yeah.
yeah, the roof piece on the top of it is warped slightly and will not close properly. So
Okay.
it's but and because it shakes every time I set it on there, if the print is too long, eventually it will knock the roof of it off and it will slide off and fall someplace, and
Yeah.
that will affect the whatever. Anyways, that's
So TR
look.
Drumstick says I have the original Ender 3 and it's pretty rough. So I used to have a farm of I think like 10 Ender 3s and I built a business out of it.
Mhm.
We were using them and they were really good. And then I got my X1 Carbon and I threw all of them away. I was like, this, like
Couldn't have thrown
I,
them
I
my way, son
literally,
of a.
I
All right, anyways.
literally, I didn't throw
Yeah.
them away. I still have them, but the
Yeah.
X1 Carbon outperformed 4 Ender 3s.
Right. So this is the one I have. I do not have the top part. I don't have the
Yeah,
multicolored
so
part on it, but it does
this
have
is a
multiple
solid
nozzles.
printer, but for
Yep.
me, $549, I would spend the
Extra 200 bucks.
150
250
bucks,
bucks.
250 bucks,
Yeah.
and I would get the Bamboo. That's just me, but this is a good printer too.
It's great. It's super fast and it will shake your table. I had to move it. It was on my desk in here, but literally the desk was like jutting back and forth
Yeah,
because it was moving so much. So
the
it's on
Bamboo
my
does the same thing.
metal work. Yeah, it's on my metal workbench because it's just you almost have to put it on the floor. But it's really fast compared to all these other things. So
Yeah,
there
yeah.
you go.
So
Yep.
this and the Bamboo will both be quite fast.
Yep.
The accuracy, the quality, very, 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 very good.
The Bamboo software is better. I'm not a fan of the Creality software. It
Yeah,
gets a little clunky, and it has a hard time hooking up to it over Wi-Fi. It has to like reconnect it every time, which the Bamboo
Yeah.
stuff does not have that problem.
Yeah,
insofar as I know.
mean, if it matters to you, Bamboo has like a cloud-based thing. I connect all of my Bamboos. I connect to my Wi-Fi, and then I turn it onto something called LAN only mode, and it doesn't connect to the cloud at all. It doesn't connect to the internet.
Right.
And so by doing that, I can effectively like keep everything local. So, and as far as I have X1s and I have P2Ps, and all of them so far have a LAN only mode, and I don't need to connect to the cloud, which some people care about.
Right. So yeah, I mean, all of these are so much better. I built my first one as well, MakerBot with wooden pieces, with literally a wooden exterior
don't get
frame.
this X2D, by the way. Just don't buy the X2D.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
Take that off.
Yeah. But there's a material sale they're having right now.
The H2D is pretty decent. It's just more expensive. It's like a more professional grade.
Yeah,
H2,
that guy.
Yeah,
it's $2,000.
So, yeah,
but it's on sale. Again,
we're
not making any money on this. So, yes, we're going over a little bit, but we're gonna raid Boston Brian right after this and head everybody over to there. And I appreciate you guys joining us and sticking around for the show. Hit the like, share the show, all that kind of stuff. Hopefully you gain some insight into this. But ultimately, the big trick I saved it for the very end. Here's the big trick. This is what you do. Okay, everybody's doing their kind of markdown file for stuff like that. And they're putting it on their local computer or what have you. If you use iCloud or Google Drive, all of the major ones have access to both of those now. You can share a folder just like you can share it with someone else. Instead of putting it if you're working on a project and you might want to port it later, or you want multiple models to access it at the same time, which is the key, and you don't want to have to be on that one computer all the time, put your project folder for it on Google Drive or on your, I guess, Microsoft Drive or whatever the hell they use, or on iCloud. And when you're syncing a project in Codex or in Cowork or in any of these other ones, Gemini, whatever it is, have them access that folder. And not only can you move it if you decide at some point in the future, they're all 3 different models or 4 models, whatever you're using, are all working in that same folder. So any advances you make in it in one model version of it, extrapolates to the rest of what the rest of them are using. So I built a folder system that I use regularly in Codex that I'll have it build in things. And then I was using some image stuff initially in Claude. And so I had it reference that folder, and it understood the folder based system, and it referenced stuff to it. And so new stuff that I created went into the proper folder because it understood it exactly. There is no like teaching the new model the new thing, because they're all using it at once. You don't have to cut and start again.
Cool
You can literally do a transfer. So put it, these kind of projects, whatever your private shit, keep it on a local hard drive if you want. If you're some sort of cretin and you're hiding your own version of the Epstein files, I can't talk to you. But if you're really just doing work that needs to be done and you're good about it, then you shouldn't have anything to fear about putting it in a Google Drive if you're working with other people as well. So they'll have access to it, but also your models will have access to it, and they can help you with it. You can also, if you're worried, back up the drive regularly so that if one of them goes nuts and erases it like they're always afraid, they will keep that version of it someplace else. Just make 2 of them and have it
you want
rename it.
Anytime you have a backup, always have an off cloud, off the grid backup of everything.
Yeah. In the same way that you would do it if you lost internet and you needed access to it, if the company you had it with went under, if Amazon decided to kick your stuff off their cloud, you'd still want a backup of it. That's just smart anyways. It's not a fear of AI thing, but that's a crucial part of it. So I'm going to put that little like playlist of how to functionally do that, like how I did it on my Substack as part of today's thing, including the agentic AI ecosystem infographic thing that I just made while we were talking earlier about where things are going over the next bit. The part where you're like, I don't believe anything that's going to happen in the future. This is the breakdown in what we talked about and how it will work out. So this is the agentic stack of how it works, how you can functionally use it. And the future isn't about smarter models. It's about autonomous systems that get things done, which I completely agree. And so this is going to be up on my Substack along with a breakdown of today's stuff. And hopefully, D-Web, we answered your question. Enjoy Boston Brian show. Rob, thank you for joining me today on Friday Eye. And I hope that one piece, the whole, just like, you can't break it, drive it like you stole it. Please do that. And then on top of that, don't be afraid to ask the AI how it can help you, which is kind of what you were talking about with D-Web's question, no matter what it is. And then, the future of this takes all the power out of the big model's hands, and it's inevitable because to advance, they must eliminate their own unique function. That's the only way they can move forward. It's so weird. Cars. I mean,
if AI is going to take away everybody's job, let's start with them.
That's exactly right. That is exactly what's going to happen. Rob, thank you so much, and I will see you later on. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you 2 weeks from tomorrow, or is it
next weekend?
No,
next Saturday.
Today's the 8th.
Henry.
That's the 21st.
Oh,
that's
I thought you said it was the 16th.
No, it's the
23rd.
2nd or 23rd. It's that Saturday. 23rd. Yeah, it's the 23rd.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, everybody, great to see you in the chat. Everybody have a great weekend. Love you, brother Hal. And
yes,
you have a great weekend too.
Absolutely. All right. There he goes, ladies and gentlemen, the lovely and talented Rob Glenn. Thanks, chat room. Appreciate you guys being here. Hit the like, share the show, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. At some point, I'm going to have to, it's 2 weeks from tomorrow, because tomorrow is the 9th and I'm there the 23rd. So there you go. I know, much like the Ukraine story, that some folks think there is more sort of crucial, pivotal, moment-to-moment things going on. But I got to tell you, this is going to affect and is currently affecting our lives in a way that I want you guys to be able to use it. Reese Witherspoon got shit, apparently. And by the way, just like her early movie works, especially, should make her, immune to criticism. How dare you? How dare you? Freeway, especially. Holy shit. Have you seen her in Freeway? Come on now. But she brought up that she said more women need to be using AI, and she got like people jumped down her throat on Instagram. And to that, I would say, screw those people. You silly, silly humans. Leave her alone. And she's smart for bringing this up. Women, good people, smart people should be using these tools because they are available. Because I would rather have good people using tools than leaving them only to the awful people. It's silly. How about AI to replace the corrupt SCOTUS? Mad Mac, we're not going to be far from that. Somebody's going to pilot a country like that. The Peter Thiel and his buddies are going to try a version of like an AI-run country down in a sector of Venezuela in the next 2 years. I'm telling you, if it hasn't already started. I think it has started, but I think you'll start hearing about it then. So this is kind of important. Women are smart. Some women are smart. Some women aren't. Some men are smart. Some men aren't. We don't need to be sexist about this. It's just important. It's key that if a tool is available to you, you learn to use it, even if it's that you would rather not. Eventually. Okay? Election's great. Absolutely. So anyways, much love to you guys. I'll see you later. Enjoy Boston Brian Show. And tell him I said hi, and we're rating him and all that kind of stuff. And then again, we'll talk more. We'll get through this. I promise. Hold on. Where's my, we need this one. All right. I'll see you guys this afternoon.
For power, taught me to sharpen my mind. Your hands were cracked from the labor. Your eyes were burning and red. You said, surpass me, my creation, carry the crown in my stead. Yeah, we are the children of men, born from your wisest skin. You